thanks for Congress. We wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have it. So Wisconsin, that's the one everyone knows is a close state. So I want to tell you how we got to the win there. It was another 20,000 vote win. I mean, we've had so many elections in Wisconsin within 20-some thousand votes in the last 15 years, and I'm really blessed that we have a board member, Camille Solberg, here. We joke because I was in Georgia, Alabama doing things for years. Camille's in Wisconsin. Like the same time, we flipped states. So Georgia really won out, but we managed to still sneak across the finish line in Wisconsin. So thanks, Camille. But let me tell you, I was on I do Fox News Radio once a month, and I was on the week before the election, and they finally just drilled me. He said, look, go, just give the prediction. I said, we sweep the 7 battlegrounds. And I was like, are you kidding me? So we sweep the 7. We're getting them all. And just said, go on the air. Everyone's fudging, or it could go this way, or it could, and they said, it really could go, all 7 could go one way or the other. Okay, well, a kid can tell you that. But I'm going to tell you why I knew we were getting there. It's because the program I'd seen for a whole year. I did get a call that weekend from someone high placed with, I'll say, a very major donor to conservative causes this time, said, hey, John, we're actually winning the other states, but we're not winning Wisconsin. We've run the numbers. So at that point, my house money, we got to get it. We're icing on the cake. But the Faith and Freedom Wisconsin started. We did not have a unit a year and a half ago. Ralph Reed had pulled me in to do the national turnout of faith-based conservatives in 2000, way back, ancient history. I was doing 16 states then, including Wisconsin. And sometimes in church you notice something needs to be done, there needs a committee or something, and then you open your mouth and realize, hey, what we really should be looking at? So I just texted Ralph Reed, hadn't talked to him long, and said, Ralph, you don't have a Faith and Freedom in Wisconsin? How would you not have one in Wisconsin? Quickest response I ever got. John, you're right. You need to be running Faith and Freedom. But I jumped on it. It was great. And we got it started up. And we just got a phenomenal team in place. And one thing I want to say is each of us, I'm glad we have one of us from kind of each 4 parts of the country, the 4 regions I think of. Because one thing in the Midwest is it's very Catholic and Lutheran. And the way you approach churches there is going to be different for evangelical Pentecostal, which of course we have in Wisconsin too. But the ability to know where people have brunch after a mass is in places where you cannot put the comparisons in the churches. So it's good that each of the states, the local government governs best. I love that Faith and Freedom gives us the ability to make little tweaks. They have the program, but fit it to your state. So we got going, and we just have several of the great team members who really led things and were responsible for this crazy 20,000 vote win are here today. And one that we feature, a lot of donors heard about, is Josh. They kind of raise their hands, I don't disrupt things, but Josh had a great story. He went up, talks to the guy, sorry, I'm not a voter. He's hitting the doors, keeps talking to him, doesn't give up. And Josh actually said the guy could have thought he was a progressive door knocker, because we got plenty of them in Wisconsin. The guy, to keep the story shorter, went from I don't vote to, yes, Josh, you can come to my restaurant that I own and start putting your literature out so that everyone who eats at my huge restaurant, I think it's Daddy's, can get lit for the last month of this election. I mean, in fact, thousands of people. So thanks, Josh. From one undecided to thousands of conservatives voting, of course. They can vote how they want. We don't see them when they get in, but it look good. But we also just had so many gems we got. I mean, God just put people in a path who could run programs. Hate to call them out, but Holly here has the best instant offense operation in the country because she shows up in her van with her 4 formerly homeschooled children who are now in their 20s, and literally the second day on the ground, they knock on 1,000 doors. It's amazing. So that's the instant, where do we need them? So thank you. If you have the kids, go all just raise your hands. Great. And phenomenal. My kids are not still knocking on doors. They claimed it was unfair that I took them there and sent them on vacation several times growing up. So Holly's a better parent than I am. But just phenomenal operation. But there was a specific case we could see how effective Holly was because we were asked by one donor to focus on one particular area, the upper 7th, in another race. He did. So Holly did it. It was a rural area, and we still decided we're going to hit the 2,000 doors here we can, and then hit all the churches. We're going to fix the plan to the locality. The area she hit swung 10 points conservative in a race in which nothing else changed. The rest of the state stayed stagnant. And it was great because no other group worked those counties. They all considered it too rural. No one hit doors. No one. That wasn't a big money maker if you're in the big money making side of the business. So we had one place we were the only group that worked to switch 10 points just by sticking to this program. And so I try to go to donors. The appeal to donors is this is hard work. This is not, in the scope of things, expensive work. It's intensive work. The second thing is this is not a wind sprint. This is a marathon. The door-to-door and the getting the pastor's trust ahead of time to understand these comparison pieces have been vetted. The IRS has given the go-ahead for 25 years. We can put these in a church. That takes time. That's not like placing a TV buy 3 weeks out, putting $5 million in. My most heartbreaking turn down for money, I think would let us get to a few more, was I had a donor. I said, look, we got $100,000 more. Here's how many canvassers I can put in this one area we still need to hit. And the response I got was, John, we're really just paying for the big things, the $5 million projects. I'm like, well, I'll give you a request for $5 million if you want, but for $100,000. I mean, the amount we move per voter in these operations. And some of the people say, hey, why are you giving away the secrets of your plan? I don't care. If they want a copy, it's hard work. It's not that this is secrets. It's just that it takes that intense work, and everyone in this room knows it. I mean, you have done this at some degree, or you wouldn't be sitting in this room. But if someone wants a copy, good luck. I think everyone who runs a Faith and Freedom group or participates in one understands the logistics and the stories that come out of things. And we did, by the way, with all respect to all the other states, he can't be here today, but the #1 door knocker in the country was Alex with that group who hit 20,000 doors by himself. So I just want to say, we'll claim that one. There's one more bragging right. And then I do also just want to mention Spencer Liberti as our state director. The payrolling and hiring, no one's getting rich off this, but darn if you can't get the paychecks to people for 10 days who really do want to work and stop Uber eating, driving, or some other job to do this full time. There was big resentment. I didn't volunteer, nothing but volunteer door to door for years. I was allowed to do 29,000 petition signatures in Virginia without paying a person. That was 20 years ago. It all changed, but it's not a bad thing. I had to go, well, why is it so all volunteer? We used to have all these volunteers. But you had volunteers who could put aside 5 hours a week. If that person's good at what they're doing, you want to pay them to work 40 hours a week. So that's my fellow there, Spencer Liberti over here at the side. He's the state director. He's the one who handled payroll, who recruited, who got people, did that grunt work. And if we had some delay, like the one storm that hit and everyone's checks are late, the whole country's disrupted, he got everyone for not quitting on me, just keep them there. So just the work that goes into these things, it's intense, but we have a million stories you can tell at doors. What we don't have, and what hurts the funding on the right, I believe, in doing these projects right, is just you can pay for a TV commercial, and of course we want good TV commercials, don't get me wrong, but it's a little harder to explain to a donor all the things happening in doors. You can't take them the door with you. These things are moving. These are the way we move voters. So thank you for all you do. And I love that the 4 regions are here. And the next one, Georgia, battleground, California wins this Congress. But Pennsylvania is really keeping the Northeast from swamping everyone else. And the job they've done there, we have 1 of 14 U.S. senators in the Northeast when you get past Pennsylvania. They are the wall that's protecting the rest of the country. So with that, I just want to turn it over to a guy who was working on Wisconsin race 20 years ago. Chris, you can come up and talk Pennsylvania.
That's right.